Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Everything Business. Um, Today I'll be looking at a past paper question. I think it's 2016, right? 2016 past paper question, right? These are some questions that relate to sections 3 and 5 of the syllabus. And for those who may not know, section 3 of the syllabus is entitled Establishing a Business, talks about entrepreneurship, business plan, stuff like that. Section 5 of the syllabus, it's entitled Production, and it talks about everything production, right? Be sure to check out my video on production, right? At the end of this video, you will see a link or a tile to that video. All right, so please check it out. All right, so let's get right into this quickly. All right, so this question, right, it says that Janice retired after 15 years of working as a loans officer at a commercial bank and has decided to become an entrepreneur, right? So they're asking you to define the term entrepreneurship. What they're really asking you to do is basically define what an entrepreneur is, but um, you know, entrepreneurship is is basically the same thing they're asking, right? But they're just asking you to describe the act. So in answering this question, you can say entrepreneurship is the act of undertaking the risk to start a business, because you know that entrepreneur, the definition for entrepreneur is a person who undertakes a risk, right, involving starting a business. So you can just put the act of undertaking the risk um, to start a business, right? And you'd have gotten the mark for that, both both 2 marks for that. And then, right, we put this over here a little bit. All right, so the next question is state 4 reasons why um, a person may start a business, and there's a myriad of answers you can give there. There is really no wrong answer, right? As long as it makes sense, right? So you can say to make a profit, to provide for themselves and family, to put a creative idea into operation, to respond to changes in their environment or their situation. You know, some persons may lose their jobs, may get laid off, and so they have to respond to that change by starting their own business. To create employment, you can have to contribute to economic growth. You can put to self-actualize, right? The reasons why people start businesses vary, right? And as long as it's not way out there, as long as it makes sense, then it should be okay. And that's one of the things I like about POB, right? It's mostly common sense. So if you think about it, as long as you can explain yourself, you're good, right? Then the next one says identify 4 stakeholders that could be involved in Janice's business, right? So the stakeholders of a business are persons who have an interest in the business, right? So when we talk about stakeholders, we're talking about like your suppliers, your employees, customers, investors. All of these people would be stakeholders of a business. Then we move on to this question that says describe 2 types of services Janice may be able to offer given her banking experience. And once again, I always give this disclaimer when I do POB questions, because it is more subjective than objective sometimes, or let me say sometimes it is more subjective than objective. And what that means is that opinions can vary. There is no one set answer, right? Like with principles of accounts, you know, there's one way to do it, right? But with POB, there is no one set answer. So opinions can vary. You can even think of something that I don't have here. We are given limited space, and you know, this is just what I just wrote at the time. All right. So, given her banking experience, Janice could be a financial advisor, right? She could provide advice, you know, for persons, right? To help them to acquire loans or to start businesses and so forth and so on. You call those persons financial advisors, right? Janice could also become an accountant or a bookkeeper, right? Who knows? You know, she's working in the bank. Maybe she have some accounting experience, or most likely she would have had some accounting experience. So she could become an accountant, all right, or a freelance accountant, sorry, right? Or a bookkeeper, right? So she could start her own bookkeeping company. That could work. You could have other answers there as well, right? But these are just two. And we're kind of limited when because they ask us for the banking experience, right? So explain two ways in which Janice's business can benefit the community. They're really asking you, how does business or how do business benefit the community, right? Provide a service, right? Create employment, which contributes to economic growth. You get what I'm saying, right? And so the question asks you to explain. So you're not going to just write a one-liner, right? You're going to expound on your points, right? For my second point, I didn't do much expounding there, right? But you need to expound on your point, give an example here and there in order to get that 6 marks. As you would have realized, it would be 3 marks per point, right? So you want to write enough. Next question. This is question 3 of the paper, right? This would relate as well to section 3, right? So define each of the following terms and give one example of each. So capital is really any asset that you invest in a business that is used to generate additional income, right? Money is one of the main thing that people refer to when they're talking about capital, but capital is not only limited to money, right? It can be fixed assets that you invest like machines, machinery, car, motor car, and so forth. Collateral. So collateral is an asset that you use, right, as security for a loan, so that if you can't pay back the loan, then the lender can seize that asset or claim ownership of that asset, right? So that's what collateral is. All right, that comes in section 3 as well. Outline 3 advantages of borrowing money from a credit union as opposed to a bank. Now, this probably is not so explicitly stated on the syllabus, right? And so maybe if you don't have enough experience with credit unions, you probably would not know. But a credit union is a form of cooperative type of business. Their main aim is to look out for their members rather than making a profit. The main aim of commercial banks is to make a profit. So that's one way they're different, right? Credit unions also have lower interest rates, or generally sometimes most times rather have lower interest rates, because remember, their main aim is not so much to make a profit rather than to look out for their members, right? And then the third advantage is that members have to create. Is that create? Members have greater say in the running of a credit union. All right. Sometimes I can't read the own handwriting. So members have greater say in the running of a credit union. A credit union is more democratic in its management, right? While the commercial bank, it's not so exclusive to the public like the credit union. And so when you become a part of a credit union, you're termed a member, or you're called a member, right? When you become a part of a commercial bank, you're just a customer, right? So you don't have any say in the running of the commercial bank. With the credit union, you have a greater say, right? Because you're a member or a shareholder. Um, Still on section 3, as you can see, identify 2 elements of a business plan: executive summary, market analysis. You could list other areas: financial analysis, marketing plan, right? All of these things, operational analysis or operational plan, right? All of that could be there too. Explain one way in which a business plan is important to each of the following stakeholders. To the business owner, right? I know the question asks for one way, but I gave two ways for the business owners, right? So it provides a blueprint for the operation of the business. It helps the owner to monitor the progress of the business, right? So anyone would work, right? You can expound on it as well. Anytime you see explain, you expound, right? You can expound. I didn't bother to do much expounding because I want to drop in another point there, all right? Potential investors. It gives potential investors the confidence to invest as they would see the plan for the business, right? So that's correct. You'd get a full 3 marks for that, and that's 20 marks. All right. All right. Moving on. Well, we did this already. All right. So that is basically it for this paper, right? See you in my next video, right? And keep practicing, keep studying. All good.